Hello everyone, and welcome to the video this week, Module 6 in Ethics. Today we're going to be talking about ethical violations and board discipline. When reviewing the most common reasons for board discipline in the state of North Carolina over the last 5 years or so, the top two seem to be inappropriate behavior and professional boundaries. The ones that followed after that were record keeping, billing, prior convictions such as DWI, drugs, embezzlement. After that came confidentiality violations, bias violations, assessment violations, abandonment, and only one impairment violation over the past 5 years in North Carolina. The common themes seem to include sexual and or romantic relationship and boundary violations, such as wine tasting and therapy sessions. And I'll have to say that's a first for me. I've never come across anything like that except in this one North Carolina case. But the case that I chose to look at was from July of this year, 2020, in the state of North Carolina, in the matter of Lauren Myers, respondent. Myers had a sexual relationship with her client. The board ruled that she was in violation of several ACA Code of Ethics that included A.1.A, primary responsibility, A.4.A, avoiding harm, A.5.A, sexual and or romantic relationships prohibited, C.2.G, impairment, and C.6.D, exploitation of others. In line with that, she violated several North Carolina General Statute violations. So the North Carolina General Statutes of the North Carolina Licensed Clinical Mental Health Counselors Act, she violated 90-340A7, A9, A10, and A13. The result and the decision of the board for all of these violations, both general statutes of North Carolina and the ACA Code of Ethics, was to revoke her licensure. I will have to say the ACA Code of Ethics that addresses impairment, which was mentioned in that last case that I chose to look at, is C.2.G. In the case, obviously, the board not only decided she was in violations of the sexual romantic relationship and all the other things, but also she was in violation of impairment. And so that, when we are looking at the last question of this particular discussion board about my reaction to the violations, in particular to this one case I looked at, is always disbelief. I will never be able to wrap my mind around why someone would knowingly make the choice to do something they know will cost them their livelihood, their licensure, the hard work at grad school they put in, and the money paid or the money owed through student loans. So it makes me wonder that perhaps the inability to resist a compulsion, knowing that it will cost them greatly, is a mental health issue in and of itself. I think there needs to be more study along these lines to look at that kind of stuff. With the job I'm in now in law enforcement, I do see, and I have seen, people in law enforcement who will risk and lose their jobs, their livelihood, for a sexual relationship they know is wrong. They have been warned, they've been told, adultery will cost you your job, no questions asked. Yet I still see it happen. And to me, that is a mental illness in and of itself, that compulsion to not be able to stop when you know it's going to cost you everything. I would like to see more study in that, especially when you start talking about counselors who have this code of ethics and they know it's wrong. It's laid out in the ACA Code of Ethics to still not be able to resist that compulsion to do something that's knowingly going to cost them their career, their licensure, their livelihood, to be able to pay bills and to support their families. Like I said, I believe that's a mental illness in and of itself, and it needs a lot more study, more willing participants to look at that and to find out why. The code of ethics that addresses, impairment talks about a lot of different things as far as impairment goes. It doesn't quite go into, the counselor's decision or the compulsion to do the things that could cost you your licensure. Impairment seems to kind of look at just, your life, your heaviness, what's going on, what's making you impaired, can you make sound decisions? So I really like that the case I looked at for North Carolina for the sexual relationship did mention that she violated, of course, the impairment code of ethics. Obviously, if she chose to do something that would cost her job, she has to be impaired, right? So I do think it needs more study, and I do think that it needs further research to find out why this compulsion within the therapy and counselor community cannot be resisted at times. So I thank you for your time. I look forward to next time. Have a great week. And if I don't talk to you again, Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.